Hello, hello! Welcome back to Brenda's Books. This season I will be narrating for you the future war love story, Sara's War, which you can also buy a printed copy and a digital copy at Barnes & Noble and on Amazon. Today we are on Chapter 47. Here we go. Chapter 47. The Wall is Crumbling. I struggle and fight against the arms holding me, but he is strong and my attempts are futile. Then I realize he's saying my name. How does he know my name? Who is this person? I concentrate on his voice now. Sara, it's me. Calm down. I recognize this voice, but if he's a friend, why is he holding me hostage? He reaches inside his breast pocket. I flinch, expecting him to pull out a small pistol or a knife. But instead, he pulls out a tiny keychain with a small metal tube connected to it. He clicks the tube and a dim blue light appears. The man crouches a little so that his face is in front of mine and dangles the small flashlight by his eyes. I recognize those eyes, and that face too. Jack? Jack! A huge wave of relief crashes through me. I'm not going to die after all. Jack waits a moment longer after he sees the recognition on my face, before slowly releasing me and moving his hand from off my mouth. Why did you scare me like that? I whisper fiercely. You always do that to me. I'm sorry, Jack whispers back. I tried not to. That's why I came in front of you. Don't ever do that to me again. I put my face in my hands and weep. Before I know it, I'm shaking and sobbing loudly. I am so sorry, Jack says again. I want to stop crying, but I can't help myself. Shh, he whispers gently, as he anxiously rubs my arms. Sara, you need to keep your voice down. People will think... Is there trouble, Colonel? Says a voice behind Jack. I can't see who it is. Jack looks over his shoulder. I'm taking care of it. She's just in shock. Who is it, sir? It doesn't matter who it is, says Jack. Go back to your post and tell the others I have everything under control. Yes, sir, says the voice. I hear some squashy footsteps walk away. Jack turns to face me again. I'm sorry, I murmur. It's okay, Jack whispers. He opens his jacket and gently pulls me into his chest and wraps me inside. I think he's doing this to muffle my cries, and I feel bad about it, but I still continue to shake and sob, soaking his thick shirt with my tears. Jack doesn't say anything as he gently strokes my back with his fingertips and lets me cry. Finally, when my sobs are somewhat subdued, Jack pulls me out of his jacket and wraps one arm around me. Come with me. I stumble alongside him as he leads me through the trees and out to an open dirt path. I spot an abandoned hut, the outer edges of it looking torn and ragged. Thin vines climb along all of its sides. I wonder if this used to be a hideout of some sort, but I can't be sure. Jack leads me behind the hut, where a steep dirt path snakes up to the massive California coast mountains. Large stones rest on the grass, just at the foot of the dirt path. Have a seat, he says. I sit on a hard stone, as Jack pulls out his flashlight again. He stuffs it into the dirt next to us and clicks on the glowing blue light. I note how smart it is of him to lead us where the light can't be detected by enemies. Are you all right now? Jack says, peering down at me from his standing position. I nod, still sniffling. I'm so sorry I did that to you. It's okay, I say, wiping my eyes. Jack reaches inside his coat and pulls out what looks like a pair of socks. He unfolds them and crouches on the ground in front of me. Without a word, he slips one woolly, scratchy sock on my foot. The heel hikes close to my mid-calf. But it's warm. How is it that you have socks with you? I wonder. The real question is, Jack says, slipping the other sock on my second foot, how is it that you don't? Embarrassed, I grimace, but say nothing. Jack looks up at my face, then stands up straight. I saw you running, and I thought there might be trouble, Jack says, as he sits down on a stone next to me. I assume you would have told me by now if there was. I nod in agreement, and rub my feet together to feel the scratchy wool. "So, what's wrong? Why were you running?" Jack inquires, his voice wary. I inhale a shaky breath. "I'd like to tell you, but I don't want to start crying again," I say as I stare at my feet. "It's okay if you do," Jack says softly. I can already feel more threatening tears rushing behind my eyes. Jack turns toward me and places one hand on my knee. "Sara, look at me." I shift a little and glance up to look at his face. Ah, how I've missed this face, especially the way it looks now, so kind and careful. "Why are you so upset?" he asks gently. "Because I'm afraid," I break off. Jack just stares at me silently, waiting for me to finish. "I'm afraid to go to sleep," I confess. Jack stares at me thoughtfully. "Are you having dreams?" I nod and fold my arms across my chest. "I don't like dreams either," Jack says sympathetically. "What are you dreaming about?" I shake my head as the thought of it brings stinging tears to my eyes again, and shamefully, I can't seem to keep them from spilling over. Jack reaches one hand up to my face. "It's okay," he says, as he wipes the tears off my cheeks. "You can trust me." I almost open my mouth to speak, but I know if I do, more sobs will break through, so I just shake my head again. Jack is careful when he speaks. "Is it something that you're afraid of happening, or something that has already happened?" "Mostly things that have happened already," I croak. "And it was all my fault," I add, choking on the last word. Jack gazes into my eyes now. "Why do you say that?" A wall inside me begins to crumble, along with all of my reserves. "Because I was the one who let my daughter get killed," I whisper. "Emma died because of me." Then a heart-wrenching sob escapes my chest. I can't see Jack's face very well, but he looks shocked and concerned all at once. "Oh, Sara," he says, putting my face in both his hands. "I'm sure that's not true. It couldn't have been your fault." "But it was," I insist. Then that wall inside me crushes completely, and I tell Jack everything. Everything from the moment Ryan handed me Emma near the park until we found her lying motionless. My sobbing prevents me from seeing Jack at all now, but he takes me in his arms and leans me into his chest again. He breathes deep and heavy. "I'm so sorry, Sara," he says softly as he begins to stroke my back again. "I am so sorry." Again he holds me while I cry, but this time he is saying, "It's not your fault, it's not your fault," over and over. "Yes, it is," I sniff. "I was the only one with her. I was supposed to protect her." "You were taken against your will," Jack counters. "How is that your fault?" "I should have been closer to her while she was playing," I persist. "You were only a few feet away," says Jack. "That man wouldn't have stopped at anything." I inhale a deep breath before I speak again. "And I'm afraid that's going to happen to me again," I whisper. "I'm afraid someone is going to sneak into my tent and drag me away. That's why I can't sleep in there." Jack lets out a shaky breath, but his stroking hands are in perfect control down my back. "Maybe I shouldn't have told you about the daggered rose." "No, you should have," I say, my chin moving against his chest. "I deserve to know about Ryan." "Of course you do. And I'll have you know that the daggered rose are getting transferred to an army-based prison tomorrow." "Really?" Jack nods as he fingers my hair. "Have my nurses reported me yet?" I wonder. Jack holds his breath for a moment, then slowly releases it as he resumes stroking my back. "Not that I know of. They will," I am definite. Then I tell Jack all about the last 2 days, and all the trouble I caused, and the things that were said to me, and how rude I was to Randy. "I doubt you were rude," Jack says sympathetically, as he leans back to look at me. "We will work this out, Sara. It's going to be fine." I wipe my eyes hard. I am so embarrassed about everything. Jack rubs my knee reassuringly. "Don't be," he says simply. Then he takes a deep breath. "You might still have dreams, but if you can get some sleep, I'm sure your working days will be just fine. Your nurses obviously still need you." Well, I can't do it without them either, I admit. Jack gives me a small smile, which slowly fades as his expression grows more thoughtful. Have you talked to anyone else about what you told me tonight, besides Ryan? I shake my head. No. In fact, I didn't even talk to Ryan about it too much. We were both in so much despair after it happened, and Ryan was killed 3 weeks after Emma's funeral. Jack sighs heavily and slowly shakes his head. He reaches up to brush my hair off my forehead. I can't believe all of this has happened to you, he says softly. I love the way he's looking at me right now, like he actually cares about me, and not simply that he wants his doctor back. Surely Ryan didn't think you were to blame, Jack assumes. He fingers through my hair at the front by my cheek. No, he didn't, I affirm. Because you weren't, Jack says with confidence, looking right at me. It still feels like it. I know, Jack whispers. He takes the back of my hand and places it on my leg, and caresses my palm in soft, slow circles. What about your parents? Have you talked to them about any of this? Well, Ryan and I did tell them what happened to Emma, but then he was taken so soon afterward, I think my parents tried to leave me alone for a while. And a month after the airport shooting, I had to report for duty in the army. So I guess I've never really talked to them about anything either. Jack rolls his head like he wants to groan. You don't deserve any of this. I was actually grateful to be in the army, to tell you the truth. It helped me block everything out, I admit. Jack looks up at me again. And let me guess, you've done everything you can to not think about it. I nod in agreement. That's a huge burden. I've been there too. I feel like crying again, but my eyes have completely run dry. But you're good at it, I assume. You handle stress really well. Jack shakes his head. No, I wouldn't say that. You do, Jack. You're incredible. I wish I were half as brave as you are. Jack puts both his hands on either side of my face and looks intently into my eyes. You are much more brave in ways that I am not, he says. You need to give yourself more credit. I say nothing as I stare back into his deep brown eyes. It's interesting that Jack just said this to me. It reminds me of something Ryan would say. Jack drops his hands and pulls a small phone from his inside pocket. He glances at it briefly and promptly puts it back in place. It's 3 a.m., pretty lady, he says casually. We better get you some rest. Instantly, frantic terror creeps up my throat. I can't, I refuse, shaking my head quickly. I want to sleep, I really do, but I can't do it. I feel my entire body begin to tremble. Jack calmly takes my hand and places his other hand on top. I will come with you. No, I say, closing my eyes. It's sleeping that's the problem. I can't know what's going on anywhere else if I sleep. I can hear my voice rising, and I can feel my nerves are about to burst again. Sara, Jack says, as he rubs his top hand firmly over mine. I will stay with you tonight, and I will stay awake, so I can know what's going on. That way you can sleep. You need it more than I do. I open my eyes to look at him. I want to protest, but hesitate as I'm surprised with his solution. But, I stammer, you need your sleep too. Nah, Jack dismisses. I was planning on staying awake all night anyway because I thought I was short a guard tonight. But you're not? I clarify. Jack looks at me pleasantly and shakes his head. I was headed back to my tent when I saw you. You scared me too, you know, with how frantically you were running. Well, at least you knew I wasn't going to kidnap you, I note. Jack frowns. I'm sorry. Then he pats my hand again. Let's get you to your tent before it gets any later. Just him mentioning my tent makes me shiver. Sara, I will be with you. There's nothing to worry about, he assures me. I want to protest again, but nothing comes to mind. I am deathly tired, and the thought of being able to sleep and feel safe is very, very inviting. Come on, pretty lady, Jack says again, getting to his feet. I'll carry you. I am perfectly capable of walking, Jack, I tell him. Actually, tonight you aren't, he says, as he puts one arm under my thighs and the other under my arms, and lifts me up off the rock. "Don't take it personally or anything," he says, as he saunters across the dirt floor. "That's just how it is." There's no sense in trying to get out of this one, so I lean my head against his solid chest and close my eyes. This is so embarrassing. "Why is that?" Jack questions. "All I did was sweep you off your feet." A small chuckle shakes my body. "I can't argue with that," I mutter. I am almost asleep before we even reach my tent. Jack carries me all the way inside and gently sets me on my bed. He coaxes my legs into my open sleeping bag and zips it up all around me. I feel him shuffle a bit beside me, and then he is still. "Are you sure you won't fall asleep?" I ask him. "I told you I would stay awake, Sara," Jack reminds me. "What if you get a call?" I know it's hard to believe, but I'm not the only one who can take care of things. There is nothing to worry about. The warmth of my sleeping bag overcomes me, and my eyes already feel glued shut. "Jack?" I whisper. "Yes?" "Thank you," I breathe. I feel a pat on my leg. "You bet." And that concludes Chapter 47. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you come back next Thursday for Chapter 48, which is called Not the Only One. If you want to find out more about Brenda's books, you can visit brendasbooks.net. Until next time, take care.